Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day 470, June the 23rd, 2018, Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, as I am recording this video, it's about 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on Friday night. At this time, we haven't heard whether or not they are going to go ahead and move to have impeachment hearings. I know the papers have already been drawn up against Rodenstein. I don't know about Ray or Sessions, but against Rodenstein, according to Mark Meadows, they've already drawn up the impeachment papers. As of today, we know that this morning it's being reported that Nunes, Gowdy, and Goodlatte had a meeting with Ryan, Paul Big Ears, Eddie Munster Ryan. And they told him that they are not satisfied with the documents that they have received from Rodenstein. And they want to move for a floor vote, which I would expect is first contempt, next is impeachment. So at this time, I just checked before I started making the video, there's nothing that would indicate that they've made that decision yet, or that Paul Ryan has made that decision, because it's now up to him, because the other three are already on board. Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Nunes are all fully prepared to go ahead and have the floor vote and impeach Rodenstein. Paul Ryan, on the other hand, may go weak in the knees. I expect that over the next few hours, they will come to some sort of a resolution on that. I would expect on Sunday morning, we will hear from Devin Nunes on one of the, or Gowdy, or one of them, one of the networks on Sunday morning, and we'll find out if they actually did have that floor vote tonight. These are the kind of votes that they'll take late at night. They don't want a lot of publicity about it. They want to do it. They're kind of forced to do it now, but they probably don't want the publicity, so they'll do it late on a Friday night. Maybe they'll do it tomorrow. It's really hard to say, but I think the string has run out. I think that Rodenstein has probably chosen that he's going to, I guess he's going to allow himself to be impeached or whatever, and then I guess we'll see if that forces him to resign, but I get the impression, as bullheaded as he is, that he won't, which is pretty unusual. You don't generally see something like that happen, but it's obviously going to go to that point, so we'll see how far it goes and what happens. But as of this time in the evening, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, there is nothing to indicate whether or not they're going to have that floor vote sometime tonight or tomorrow, if they're going to go ahead with it. But we do know that Ryan has been told that they are not satisfied, the committee heads are not satisfied with Rodenstein and the documents he's produced, or lack of production of documents. They're not satisfied. We'll see where it goes. Alrighty, yesterday we talked about this individual, Henry Kerner, Henry J. Kerner, who was under John McCain, was like a chief of staff to John McCain, who back during the IRS situation, when that was all going on, when they were targeting conservatives and Tea Party groups and things like that, we learned that working under Senator Magoo, that Mr. Kerner is the one who suggested that they audit all these groups and make it nearly impossible for them to operate. That was his idea for how to shut them down. As we know, of course, Senator Magoo didn't like the Tea Party and they didn't like him. And it shouldn't surprise us. But now it appears that since that name has come out, someone has gone in and done some investigation into Mr. Kerner, and there's a good article today on Conservative Treehouse laying out his past and why he is a central figure in a lot of things, not just what happened in Benghazi and what happened with Fast and Furious and what happened with the email scandal or the IRS scandal, but it appears that he also is probably a role player in the Spygate situation. So let's go through a little bit of a past history of Mr. Kearns and see what we can learn about him. Kerner. His name is Kerner. K-E-R-N-E-R. Okay, Henry Kerner. Henry J. Kerner. He is special counsel in charge of all whistleblowing witnesses in cases of government corruption. Kerner controls the events. As lead official, the special counsel in charge of the Office of Special Counsel, and he is in the position to manipulate and control any investigative outcome. He is the lead official over the special counsel. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. He's the special counsel in charge of all whistleblowing witnesses. Why do you want a guy like this in that position? Because you want the whistleblowers to come to him so that he can do some research, investigation, and find out who they are, what they're all about, what it is that they're blowing the whistle on, so they can determine how damaging this individual may be and exactly how difficult it is going to be to make him go away or shut him up. Or, if they must, hear his concerns, and then by using the various layers and layers upon layers of gatekeepers that can make it all go away, just like Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz. He's essentially just another level, because this is what you have in the swamp. You have level, and it's like layers, layer after layer after layer after layer of these so-called watchdogs, oversight, things like that are supposed to give us the impression that they have all these layers of oversight to prevent corruption, when in fact every one of these layers of oversight are actually there to protect the corruption and the corruptors, the criminals, the swampers. So this is primarily who Mr. Kerner is. He is a gatekeeper. And now that we know that he's been involved in all these things, and he is now serves in a position where he is actually over the special counsel. He is in charge of the Office of Special Counsel. He is in the position to manipulate and control the outcomes. Well, he's done a fantastic job, has he not? Mr. Kerner graduated from Harvard. Oh, yes, he sure did. Well, at least we know he's not skull and bones. He graduated from Harvard Law. He spent 20 years working as a professor out in La La Land. After law school, he was on staff of the House Oversight Committee under first Chair Darrell Issa, and later Jason Chaffetz. Jason Chaffetz, who now on Fox News acts like he's your friend, even though we covered him a great deal when we were talking about the MH17 cover-up, which he was a big part of. Chaffetz is a fraud, in case you didn't know it. Kerner was also staff director under Senator Magoo of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. He was the gatekeeper over the preeminent investigative body in the U.S. Congress. The number one investigative, they are considered to be this particular subcommittee, the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, is the number one lead committee on investigations dealing with oversight. And so Mr. Kerner was the head guy, the staff director under this particular committee. That's how he got to be the major gatekeeper over the special counsel. My oh my. He was also the vice president of Cause of Action, a nonpartisan group committed to exposing waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, let's go. Okay. For those of you who are not aware of it, nonpartisan is a word used in the swamp, and what it really means is the uniparty. It means the uniparty. He is essentially the vice president of this group, which is basically in charge of the uniparty to expose waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, I'm sure, he should be fired. So he was the one who was in charge when all this waste and fraud and abuse was happening. Do you know how much waste and fraud there is within just the DOD alone? The DOD alone can't account for nearly $1 trillion every year. Can't account for it. You go to audit the DOD, they got $1 trillion they can't account for. Nearly every year. But he's in charge of all that. How do you think he's done in his job of exposing waste, fraud, and abuse? He's a gatekeeper, my friends. He's the one that makes sure that they continue the waste, fraud, and abuse. Because that $1 trillion, my friends, that the DOD can't find, and all these other government agencies, all the money they can't find, because it ends up in someone's pocket. And I'm pretty sure it's not yours or mine. Nectar of the gods. Kerner was the guy that told Lois Lerner that the solution to the Tea Party groups was to audit them so much that it would become financially ruinous. So there you go. There's what we know about Mr. Kerner. Not only did he, under John McCain, Senator Magoo, not only did he orchestrate the plan to go after and shut down these Tea Party groups, he was involved in as a gatekeeper in Benghazi and Fast and Furious, and now Spygate. And of course, we learn now that he's the gatekeeper for the special counsel. That's Uncle Bob, the executioner, and his Hillary donor posse. Oh my goodness. Layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of gatekeeper for the deep state. And he sits at the top of the heap. Well done. Let's move on. Well, the Daily Caller is pointing out exactly what I pointed out yesterday, which is that the rotten Reverend Clinton should have a big Weiner problem. She should have a big, huge Weiner problem. As I pointed out yesterday, Inspector Huckleberry Horowitz does his investigation into the investigation that wasn't an investigation. However that works. That's right. Horowitz did an investigation into an investigation that was not actually an investigation. That's what he did. And he told us all about it. But what he did in the process, he told us about the Weiner laptop. He told us he got 3/4 of the way there, but as Huckleberry always does, he comes up short. He doesn't actually execute. He doesn't pull the handle. He gets up to the plate, puts the bat on his shoulder, and then stands there. You're out. He stands there and looks at 3 pitches and walks back into the dugout. Huckleberry Horowitz. Now, I said that being as how they essentially, first of all, the idea that we're supposed to believe that they looked at all those emails in the limited amount of time that they had to figure out what was going on, for us to believe that is it's not believable. There's just no way. And now that we know who was running that little deal, Peter's been stroking us, we definitely wouldn't believe it. That they actually looked at that stuff. There needs to be, as I said yesterday, an investigation into the Weiner laptop. So, in the Daily Caller today, on the heels of my video, they're saying pretty much what I said, but I'll tell you what they say in the Daily Caller today. They say that the FBI has never thought to review the golden emails. What are the golden emails? Well, the golden emails is a term that was that the guys down in New York, these 39 FBI agents and U.S. attorneys in the New York field office, It's the term that they came up to describe what they found on the Weiner laptop. All these, what was then 350,000, which by the time it finally made itself to McCabe and Comey and the boys, they had upped it to 600,000. God, that's a lot of emails. And they discovered that these emails went all the way back to 2006. 2006. And they determined that this laptop, this Weiner laptop, may likely hold all of the emails. Even the ones that the Rotten Reverend Clinton thought she destroyed and bleach-bitted. All the information on them BlackBerry devices she thought she destroyed. All the emails and things that were lost in the first 2 months when she became Secretary of State, that they said they couldn't recover. In other words, the people down in New York, the FBI people down in New York, discovered all this stuff, and because the initial investigation began with them, and they were in the process of trying to recover a lot of these emails that have been deleted or lost or missing or what have you. When they got their hands on the Weiner laptop, they looked at the domains of these emails, and they looked at the dates on these emails, and they realized that they had just found what they described as the golden emails. In other words, all the emails that they had been looking for in other places that they could not get, they believed that they had now discovered on the Weiner laptop. So they called them the golden emails, which one of the reasons is why is that they were so upset when after 21 days of turning this over to McCabe and Strzok, and assuming Comey as well, that they turned these over, that no action was being taken because they knew what was on the laptop. And they knew it just wasn't duplicate emails that they had seen before, which is what Comey tried to tell us. Oh, we looked at those 300,000 emails, and yeah, it was mostly stuff we'd seen before, blah, blah, blah. But these FBI agents down in New York, the U.S. attorneys down in New York are saying, no. They're saying that it was more like 600,000. And they're saying that no, these are not emails anyone's ever seen before. There's a lot of things there they've never looked at, and it doesn't appear, as I said yesterday, if you look at the IG report, Huckleberry Horowitz, he essentially tells us in the IG report that he looked into the Weiner laptop, but he didn't look into the Weiner laptop. Horowitz's people didn't go through all them emails. They were just trying to find out what happened and how it was transferred to who and when and what they said and what they thought and what they did and all this. He himself did not order an investigation into the Weiner laptop. Apparently no one has. It's just sitting there with all the evidence. All the evidence is right there on that Weiner laptop. Which is why I said yesterday it needs to be investigated. Really investigated. Daily Caller also points out that they deliberately ignored emails between Huma and Clinton. Exactly. Because we learned in the IG report when the FBI forensic guy got to that particular point, he realized that he didn't know if he had the legal authority to go any farther. So he had to go check with his boss and his boss's boss and his boss and his boss, and they finally got word back, no, you can't look at any of that stuff. You can only look at these emails from Anthony Weiner himself. Communications between Anthony and Huma, nope, can't look at that. Between Huma and Clinton, nope, can't look at that. Between anybody else and any of these email chains, nope, can't look at it. And at that point, we were all led to believe that they actually did look at these emails. And they actually did clear this stuff. But the point of the matter is here, folks, they did not. They've never looked at that stuff. It's sitting right there on Weiner's laptop. And they've never looked at it. And the IG Horowitz, apparently Huckleberry didn't make any recommendation, did he? In the IG report that, hey, I think you need to investigate that laptop. I don't hear a lot of people talking about investigating that laptop. Hopefully, someone soon will realize that they need to take a look at the damn laptop, the Weiner. They need to take a hard look at the Weiner laptop They got a big Weiner problem. As I mentioned also, as they point out in the Daily Caller, analysts have never reviewed the Weiner laptop to determine if it had been compromised by foreign actors. You know it did, because they were told not to. They were specifically told not to. By the way, that's a crime. That's a crime under 18 U.S.C. 793. This needs to be investigated. We also know, as I pointed out as well, and which they mentioned in the Daily Caller article, that it was likely. Now, they are saying it was likely. I said in my video yesterday, I was not sure who ordered it, who did it, who ordered it, or whatever, to remove the classified markings from these emails before they were sent to the Rotten Reverend Clinton. But as they say in the Daily Caller, when you think about it, it had to be Huma. Huma had to be the one that was removing the classified emails from those emails prior to forwarding them to the Rotten Reverend Clinton, which was exactly why they set it up that way. That's exactly why the Rotten Reverend Clinton didn't want those emails going directly to her, because she could have had that done. Oh, she could have had that done. Them emails could have went directly to her domain. But she didn't want that. She wanted them to go to someone else's domain. Looks like it was Huma. Why? So Huma could strip out the classified markings. So that the Rotten Reverend Clinton would say, hey, oh, look at there's no classified markings. Yeah, because you told Huma to get rid of them. Has anyone asked Huma about why she removed the classified markings? Nope. Because there was no investigation. It was the investigation. It was not an investigation. These things do need to be investigated, as I pointed out yesterday, as the Daily Caller is pointing out today, and hopefully as people will point out in the future to people who can do something about it. And that would be you, Mr. Gowdy. Or who's the guy from the Science and Technology Committee? Who heads up the Science and Technology Committee? Because that is the committee that would probably be the committee that would be the ones to look and demand that laptop and have their forensic people go through it and read every damn one of those emails. Because I find it very difficult to believe that you've got Rotten Reverend Clinton Gmail domain mixed in with Clinton Secretary of State emails, mixed in with ClintonFoundation.org. They're all mixed in together. Are we supposed to believe that what we're running now is 600,000 emails and there's not a single damn one that shows where there's any classified information, even though it's had the classified tags removed? Still, people reading those can figure out whether or not it's classified or not, which is a crime into itself. But they haven't looked at any of that, and it's just there's something that's not right here. Something is not right. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the Rotten Reverend Clinton still has people within the deep state protecting her. No shit, Sherlock Christopher Wray doesn't appear to have any interest at all in digging into that Weiner laptop, nor does anyone else apparently have any interest. I mean, didn't they read the IG report? The Weiner laptop's never been really investigated. The only thing they looked at was the Southern District of New York looked at the Weiner stuff, but once it got to Comey and McCabe and Peter's been stroking us, they told us that in a period of 2 days they went through everything, but they're lying. Can we believe them? Can we trust them? Are we supposed to take their word for it? When Andy McCabe or Peter's been stroking us say, oh yeah, we looked at all those emails and gave her the all clear, no problem. I'm sorry, but there's Clinton Foundation emails there alongside State Department emails, alongside 2 different personal domains for the Rotten Reverend Clinton and all her BlackBerry devices, which having conversations which she was never supposed to have on those devices. My God, there's probably thousands and thousands of crimes on that Weiner laptop. Okay. Hey, Bernie Sanders, for his second year in a row, has earned more than $1 million. That's right, he earned $1 million last year. Suddenly, isn't it interesting how old Bernie, suddenly, after losing to the rotten Reverend Clinton, and then deciding after she cheated him and all of his supporters out of all that cash, that suddenly old Bernie, since that election, has found a way to make a lot of money. Because prior to that, he wasn't making $1 million a year. But suddenly, after losing to the rotten Reverend Clinton, by losing to the rotten Reverend Clinton, his income has gone way, way up. So Bernie is now getting paid $1 million a year. $1 million a year. Maybe I should run against the rotten Reverend Clinton and lose. Maybe we should all run against the rotten Reverend Clinton and lose. Although that would be hard to do, to lose to the rotten Reverend Clinton, as is evident by the facts of the 2016 election. That's a problem. Bernie managed to lose to the rotten Reverend Clinton. Of course, he cheated, but he didn't seem to mind, because it appears that since losing to the rotten Reverend, his income has gone way, way up. But he's fighting for you to make $12 an hour, or $20 an hour, or $50 an hour, or $100 an hour, whatever it is. He don't believe in any of it. Well, we have the former Department of Homeland Security head, Jay Johnson, who also told us that the rotten Reverend Clinton, that he contacted them and the DNC several times to look at the DNC servers, and they would not let him, and he said he wasn't very happy about it. But he said he couldn't force it. Are you sure about that, Mr. Johnson? One phone call to the FBI, and they should have went over and got them damn servers. It was an investigation, was it not? If the Russians hacked your server where you work, I assure you the FBI would come and take your server. But Jay Johnson is telling us that he was Obama's Department of Homeland Security head. He is saying, he just said it yesterday, that we need to secure our borders. That's Obama's DHS. We need to secure our borders. Yeah. As if that's even a question. Obviously you need to secure your borders. Is that even... I mean, we even debating that? Yeah, we are actually. Well, it appears that 64% of Americans want illegals detained. Of course. Of course 64% want illegals detained. It's common sense. Who are the other 37%? Oh, they're the ones who voted for the rotten Reverend Clinton and watch CNN and MSNBC all day. That is who the other 36% are. But 64%, that's a healthy number, my friends. It's a winning number. They want illegal aliens detained. Uh-oh. Michael Caputo says that he has the documents proving that Henry Greenberg, the FBI informant that they don't want to talk about, the other FBI informant, how many freaking FBI informants did they have in this damn campaign? That Mr. Greenberg, not his real name, he's obviously a Russian. He has many aliases that he uses. But Caputo says he has the documents proving that Henry Greenberg made a filing through Immigration and Naturalization Service stating under oath that he was an FBI informant for 17 years. He stated this on documents, and he stated it under oath that he was an FBI informant for 17 years. Question is, what the hell's he doing in the country? He's been convicted of multiple violent felonies. Why was he in the country? And why was he trying to pawn off material on the rotten Reverend Clinton for $2 million? Maybe, no shit, Sherlock Christopher Wray can help us out with that. Maybe Uncle Bob the Executioner can help us out with that. According to Mr. Caputo, they know all about him. Maybe Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz. Maybe he can help us out with that. What do you think? And of course, we know that agent number 5, we're now learning that agent number 5, who was outed by Mark Meadows, who is Kevin Kleinsmith, previously had worked for the Michigan far left-wing radical nutjob Democrat governor Jennifer Granholm, who the Rotten Reverend Clinton had named as her co-chair for her presidential transition team had she won in 2016. Brought to us by Paul Sperry. So the Rotten Reverend Clinton had tapped Jennifer Granholm. That would not surprise me at all. That would not surprise me at all. Thank God the Rotten Reverend didn't become president, because Granholm is a complete numbnuts. This woman is dumber than a football bat. Literally, dumber than a football bat. And she was going to be the co-chair for the Rotten Reverend Clinton? Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that Hillary Rodham Clinton cabinet would have been wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, she probably could have put Jeffrey Dahmer on that in that position. She could have Mr. Berkowitz. I can think of a lot of killers that she could put on her team there. But fortunately, the Rotten Reverend Clinton did not win in 2016, so she didn't need the services of Miss Granholm. But it appears that Mr. Kleinsmith, agent number 5, outed by Mark Meadows, worked directly for Granholm. So I guess that's just another example of the bias. The bias, as if we need more examples. Finally, I want to go back down the trail into a little bit of history on something that was a really big issue about a month and a half ago. Do you guys remember when we were talking about the fact that Comey had made some kind of a statement suggesting that he knew something about Loretta Lynch that wasn't yet public, that would exonerate him for the things he did? Comey told Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz that the FBI had obtained highly classified information in March of 2016 that included allegations of partisan bias or attempts to impede the mid-year investigation by Lynch. Remember that? Is anyone trying to get to the bottom of that? Because Huckleberry Horowitz, the custodian, let that slide. In the IG report, it slid. That went right over everybody's head, and now we've all forgotten about it. But now we've just been reminded that Comey did come out and say that there was something that he discovered that would exonerate him, and that it was something to do with Loretta Lynch, something he discovered. So he's telling Horowitz, according to the IG report, that that he had discovered, or the FBI had discovered, some highly classified information in March of 2016 that included allegations of partisan bias. So this is what Comey was talking about. He found some documents or some evidence of partisan bias or attempts to impede the mid-year investigation. That was the investigation into the Rotten Reverend Clinton, which we now learn from Huckleberry was not actually an investigation at all. And so at that point, again, Huckleberry Horowitz gets this information and doesn't pursue it. He leaves it alone. He doesn't dig any farther. He doesn't suggest it be investigated. I mean, did he turn it over to Mr. Huber? Did he turn it over to the Southern District of New York? Did he turn it over to someone else? Did this just go over his head? We also know that Lynch was passing classified information over to Miss Renteria. Is that what he's talking about? Did they get those documents which showed Lynch passing information, classified information, to Renteria, which would have had something to do with the ongoing so-called investigation? Is that what's in those documents? I think that that's a good guess. Someone needs to look into that too while we're at it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be back tomorrow. You guys have a good weekend. See you on Sunday. Bye.